Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly, and this channel is all about print-on-demand everything. So if you would like to learn about print-on-demand, please hit like and subscribe and stick around. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this design right here. This is a kind of cross-niche, Bigfoot, UFO, very retro style design. There's a few different steps in it, but you can still make it relatively quickly. If this is something that you would like to learn about, go ahead and stick around. So here I am on Canva's home page, and we are going to be making a design today for t-shirts. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to custom size in the top right hand corner. Go ahead, click on that. For my t-shirt designs, I'll usually go 4500 by 5400 pixels. That may change if I'm doing, optimizing for other products or whatnot. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and we'll go with the 4500 by 5400 pixels. It's pulling up my blank page here. I'm going to go ahead and start and change the background color to a nice black. So I'm just going to click here, go to the left-hand corner where it says background color. I can click on that and then go ahead and click on black. And so now I've got my awesome black background. Now in today's video, we're going to be doing a graphic only design. So there's not any text on this design, but there's going to be a lot of different overlaying of graphics and whatnot to create an original design. I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of a cross niche, which isn't even that much of a cross niche, with Bigfoot and UFOs. I don't know what it is, but if you look on like TV lately, there are a lot of videos coming out about UFOs, like it's a revival of UFO popularity and a revival of Bigfoot popularity, and things combining the two of them together, things suggesting that Bigfoot may be an alien or supernatural or whatnot. And so if you're going to sell some Bigfoot style designs, you can always go ahead and combine that with UFOs. And that is a nice popular way to go. So I'm going to do a little bit of a unique spin on this. I'm going to use Bigfoot as a frame for a UFO design. So we're just going to go ahead and start by finding our frame. So I'm going to go to the left-hand side where it says elements. In my search bar, I would type in Bigfoot. I've already used it right here. But if you were to search and you just put Bigfoot, and there it is. I'm going to use this very first one right here, but there's a lot of graphics that you could search through if you wanted to, and a lot of ones that are already done, a lot of the same ones. Some of these are very popular. You may have seen them before. I'm just looking for a basic silhouette. I like this first one, so that's the one I'm going to go with. And this is just meant to be a frame. That's all. So I'm going to make it nice and big in the center of my page, and I'm going to go ahead and download this. So I'm going to call this Bigfoot frame. And I'm going to go to the top right-hand corner where it says share. And then from there, I'm going to go down towards the bottom where it says download. Now here, the file type that I'm using is a PNG. That's what I always use, just my default size. I don't usually change unless I'm trying to print on something big. I would change this if I was going to print on a poster or a blanket or something very large. But for a regular shirt, I just leave that the same. Because I am trying to get a frame, I want a transparent background, so I only want Bigfoot to come up, and I'm going to go ahead and download that. And so I'm going to have my Bigfoot frame right there. Now that I have my Bigfoot frame, I'm going to create a UFO scene kind of over the top of Bigfoot that I am then going to use a clipping mask to put inside of my Bigfoot. And so we're going to start with sort of some foresty trees, and there's a lot of different ways that you could choose to go with this. I'm going to go ahead, if I put in like forest or mountain forest, and so you can see lots of things come up. For this, I think I'm going to go with photos. And so there's lots of fun mountain style photo designs that you can go through. Some really cool ones here, like if I wanted to go there, that's a little bit darker than I'd like. Here's some more. So I'm looking for anything with those kind of trees and mountain style look to it. Now I've already gone through here. I spent quite a bit of time the other night, so I'm just going to go ahead and go to my recently used and use ones that I've already picked out. So here are some of the ones that I already saw that I liked. I think this is the one that I decided to go with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it kind of fill the whole page. I want it to cover Bigfoot. So from the top all the way down to the bottom, something like that. Now up here, there's a little checkered box that says transparency. I can go ahead and click on that. And if I bring this transparency level down, it allows me to see through, so I can see where everything is lining up on Bigfoot. So I can decide if I want him to have more trees, less trees, where I kind of want the tree line to stop. I can, make it a bigger, smaller, I can't make it that much smaller, but I can make it a little bit smaller. And so I can just sort of play, and that's how I would play with where everything is. I kind of like the way the tree line drops down this way on him, so I think this is where I'm going to leave that. So I can get rid of my transparency, or I can leave it there for right now. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and leave it because I do want to be able to see when I'm designing all of this where everything's falling on Bigfoot. So now I've got that. Next thing I wanted to do was going to be add kind of a UFO and just sort of some stylistic stuff. I thought about even putting in a little bit of a starry night sky. And so one thing I did when I looked up for, stars or starry sky, and you can do a search there. I already did, but you can go stars. And it might even be better to do this with graphics, now that I'm thinking about it, and get some little stars this way, because then I can kind of get a little starry night, kind of right like that. Something like that. So it's just going to go over the top of him. So I'm just going to start layering things to kind of give the look I want. Oops, made a sale, yay. Yeah. Something like that. I don't like that star one. I want one with a little bit more stars. What do I got here? Okay, I like that. That's nice. There's some nice stars. I'm gonna go ahead and make these whites, maybe like a bright white so that they stand out a little there. I like that. So here I've got some nice sparkly stars in the sky at night, so I can do that, and that looks pretty cool. And then I was going to go ahead and go with a UFO, so I went ahead and put UFO. And for this one, again, you can do graphics or photos, and yes, there are some photo options of some really cool looking style UFOs, and so depending on what you want to go with, you can pick any of these. And any of them that have a background like this, you can always go ahead and do a background removal on it too, just to get the UFO if that's what you want. And so easy way to just kind of pick out whatever UFO you want. You can also go through graphics or everything, or anything else. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to pick the top one. It's easy. I'm going to shrink it down. And I'm going to have it sort of look like it's in the night sky somewhere up here. Big, but not too big. There it is floating above the trees. Now what I want is to have a little beam of light coming down. So something like what you would see with all of these, where you sort of get that beam of light. Okay, so I can go ahead and put beam of light and see what comes up. Now I'm on photos right now. I could also go to graphics, and that's going to have some interesting beams, and so something like that might work. Something like that where it's fanned out. This one. So these all have a little bit of transparency in them, right? Which transparency will work as long as it's over over another design and not just transparency sitting on the shirt itself. That's when you start to have a little bit of problem with it. But there's a little bit of a light beam, right? That looks pretty cool. Or I could do one that's a little bit more concentrated here, this one. Or I could layer them. There's nothing that would say that you can't layer it. Oops. I meant to make it smaller, and instead I cut it down. So, boom. I could go ahead and put that one right over the top. So now I've got a little bit of a layered. And I did see something that I liked when I was looking, kind of that light going out the side like that. And I think I even saw one of those in photos that I liked. So if I just go ahead and switch back over to photos and light beam, there's some cool ones. I did like some of those going out to the side, looked cool. Here's one that looks like it's just sort of going out to the side. Something like that might look cool. Something else I've seen in watching some random Bigfoot and UFO videos is something about blue, sort of blue beams of light, you know, going through the forest. So for whatever reason, a blue beam of light going through the forest seems to make a lot of sense. So we'll go ahead, throw that maybe down here towards his waist. There you go. That looks pretty cool. And so you can kind of play with this however you want. I'm going to go something like that. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the transparency now on my main backgrounds. My main background should be behind all of the other things I just put on top. So when I do that, there we go. And that's not too bad. I might want to use a little transparency on this because I'm starting to get a little bit of a sharp edge that I don't want. So let's see. See, I got this little sharp edge right here. So maybe I don't go with photo. Maybe I go ahead and try to find a graphic like that because I really want to make sure I'm not getting any sharp edges. And so there's definitely some other light beams that I can use. And just got to be careful when you're picking stuff. So like here's one. It's not going to let me change the color though, and I'd really like that with blue. Let's see if I can find something like that in graphics with a blue light. Nope, there it was. Okay, that's the one that I used. And my little light beams here am I recently used. So I'm going to take my light beam, center it so it looks like it's kind of coming down off the UFO, and good, now I'm not getting any lines. So I want this to all look pretty, you know, like one piece, because this is going to go inside my Bigfoot frame, so I need it to kind of look like it all goes. I'm having a little bit of problems with the stars, aren't quite working the way I'd hoped, because I don't necessarily want them on top of the trees. Maybe something like that. Okay, let me see this one more time. I'm going to bring my transparency down. There we go. Yeah. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so here is my UFO in the forest scene. And so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put UFO mask. And so this is going to be a mask that goes inside my Bigfoot frame. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll download this. It is still a PNG. It does not have to have a transparent background because the whole thing is just going to go right inside Bigfoot. So we can just download that as is. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and jump over to Photopea to use the clipping mask. Now I have had people ask about clipping masks in Canva. Right now, as far as I know, Canva still doesn't have a way to do a clipping mask. You could do all sorts of roundabout ways that would involve, you know, saving the Bigfoot and then cutting it out and then putting the cutout over the top, and then, you know, there's a lot of steps and background removals, and it's just not efficient. So until they have an efficient way to do it, the easiest and fastest way is just to jump over to Photopea real quick. So hit photopea.com, throw it in your browser. This page will come up. You hit open from computer, grab your frame. And this always works for me, and it's always really fast and totally free. And I can come up to the top left-hand side where it says File, 3 spaces down. I'll click Open in Place. I'm going to go ahead and select my mask. Hit Open. Give it a sec. There's my mask. So over here you can see here's my mask on top of my background layer, and the mask is highlighted. And then from there I just go up to the top where it says Layer. About halfway down it says Clipping Mask. And there you go. So now I have my clipping mask, and so it's that easy, and I can just go ahead then and export this. Export as, so PNG. I just went over the top where it said File, by the way. Export it as a PNG, give it a second, a little box will pop up. There it is. So it's still a PNG. It's titled Bigfoot Frame, and I'm just going to leave it as is, 4500, 5400. I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to hit Save. It saves it, and then I can just jump right back over to Canva. And so that was way faster and easier than trying to do some roundabout way of getting this inside of Bigfoot using Canva. So for right now, that's the easiest way to do it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and upload the one that I just made. So I can go over to the side where it says uploads, and this is where you can upload anything you want. So I'll hit upload files. I'm just going to take the Bigfoot that I just made and open it. Okay, there we go. So I've got my Bigfoot. I can just go ahead and click on that. And there he is. So now I've got Bigfoot. Now I do sort of lose Bigfoot down here. So sometimes it's convenient to go ahead and put a little outline around it if you want to, something thin, just so that it kind of shows. Different ways I can go with that, but let's go ahead and go with edit image. I'm gonna go ahead and go with my shadows. I can put a glow shadow. By the way, this is the old editor, but both the old and new editor have a way to do glow. The new one would just say outline. So I don't know why they don't just combine the two, but right now you'd have to switch back and forth between the new editor and the old editor if you want to use all of the features. I'm getting rid of the blur, getting rid of any transparency, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a light color. So that's what it would look like with white, and maybe I decide to go more with sort of that bluish tinge. So what I can do is I can hit this plus sign that says add new color, use my little eyedrop feature here. I'm going to hover somewhere over the bluish, until I pick a light blue color that I like. Okay, that looks cool. And there it is. And it's got just a really thin line. So I might go with something like a 5 or a 6, something small. Let's start with a 5. You can always add more layers if you want to. And so we'll go ahead and see how that looks right there. Give it a second to finalize. And there we go. So now I've got it right there. I can make this nice and big. And now again, you could leave it like this, or at this point, if you wanted to, there's all sorts of photo effects that you could do with this. So different ways to add saturation, to add contrast, to put filters on it. And so let's just say we want to make it look a little different. Let's edit the image here. And let's see what we can do in the way of filters. So I like to use the photogenic filters. It's going to give you a lot of different variations in terms of colors. And you can sort of play with it, see which ones you like. If you want something really different, you can come down here to where it says poster style. And poster style usually does a combination of like blue and red. And so there is my poster style, and it's giving those trees a red look, and so that's a little bit different. Or you can do something that looks like heat wave, so like we're looking at infrared, and that's a little different. That's really interesting, right? So there's, if you wanted to do like a heat wave style one, if I wanted to do stark, something like that is going to give it just sort of more of a vintage style look, and I do kind of like that vintagey look right there. And so you can play with all of these. They're all going to give it, obviously a different look. There's Flint is going to give me a little bit more in the way of I can see my stars, and that looks a little bit greener. And so lots of ways to play with it. I kind of like some of the ones that look a little bit different like that. I'm losing my stars a bit on that one. Whimsy. Gives a blue sky. Retro, there's my retro one. I do think I want to add a little bit of contrast on here, whichever one I pick, because I do want a little bit more contrast. I actually really like this one. I wish this spaceship didn't have a hole in it. It looks like the spaceship, when they did a cutout, they didn't do a good job, and so that's something to consider when you pick your photo. Make sure that if it's a photo that they did a cutout on, that they actually did a good job. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm so torn. I really like Stark. Okay, sure. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to go with this one. Otherwise, I can go forever. And of course, you could always put up lots of different versions. I could also do some bad TV stuff on it too. So if I wanted to put some scan lines in it and really make it look retro, I can do that. At this point, I might go ahead and play with the saturation and play with the saturation, contrast, brightness, all of that. So throw a little bit more contrast on there. Looks kind of nice. Throw a little bit more saturation on there. Something like that looks kind of cool. So I can do That looks awesome. And just so many different ways to play with this and make it original. Remember, it's supposed to be a trippy design. This is an alien design, and this is more of like a retro alien design too. So all sorts of different ways I could go with just sort of making it look a little bit more retro-y. Here's what it would look like if I threw the scan lines on. And so that looks kind of cool there. That's a little bit much, but I could, of course, get rid of some of the distort, depending on how smooth or not smooth I want it to be. I don't mind the fine distort there. The count, lots of counts, maybe a little bit smaller in the way of counts. Something like that. Number of lines, that's gonna make it dark. I can make that really light and a little bit more subtle. I can throw in a lot of noisiness, bring that noisiness way down so it's smooth. I don't know if I want it to be perfectly smooth. A little noise is okay, especially if I'm going for a particular look. And so there's sort of your scan lines going through there. I can hit apply. So anyways, you can see that there is a ton of different ways to go with this. And because we're doing something a little bit more supernatural, because we're doing something kind of UFO-y, there is no end to how much you can play with the colors and play with the retro look and just sort of have fun with this design and definitely make the design your own. So, I mean, if 100 of us did this design, hopefully we'd come up with 100 different versions because we'd all make some sort of artistic choice that makes it look a little bit different. Now, I do already have a couple versions of this up on Amazon right now, so, you know, please don't copy it exactly. Do go ahead and put your own flair on it, be as creative as you want. But that is how you would go ahead and make sort of a cool UFO Bigfoot style design. And if you wanted to add text to it at this point, if you had some text you wanted to put, you could. And so this is just a fun niche to go with, and for whatever reason it seems to be pretty popular. So if you have any questions about it, drop it in the comments section below. If there's anything you want to see covered, you can put it in the comment section below too. I'll try to get back to you, try to add you onto my list. Hope your sales are going well. I apologize for my dog who's been whining in the back of this video the entire time. He's been at it all morning. So sorry about that if you're wondering what the noise is. Hopefully next time it won't. Yeah, well, I can't guarantee that. Hopefully it won't be as bad next time. So have a great day or a great night. Have a great month. And start thinking about Q4. That's all for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.